Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another reloading chat. So I'm going to prime a little bit of, well, not prime, I'm going to resize some brass. Let's talk about the horrific news from this morning. I'm not going to go into the details of this, other than my initial thoughts when I heard about it was that this was not someone with very much skill, because the distance he was at using some sort of semi-auto rifle fired, they said, somewhere between 50 and 100 rounds. Wounded 4 people, didn't manage to kill anybody. So we're not talking about someone with any training, any skill. I immediately knew this was not a firearm enthusiast. Immediately knew that. Not even remotely possible. Literally someone who's probably never fired a weapon before in their life. No experience, because otherwise that would have ended differently. Again, kind of goes back to the point all these leftists make about, well, you know, these weapons are just so easy for people to use. Although it does start to beg the question, why are all these NRA members not armed? All these senators, congressmen. You know, even my bro Rand Paul. I love Rand Paul. Love Rand Paul. He was there saying that he felt like a sitting duck. You know, he's an NRA member. Where's your pieces, guys? Come on. Care if you have a security detail. Your security detail wasn't very good. We need to start looking also for our right-wing politicians, you know, better security details here. But what do we know about the person? Well, stuff has come out. Apparently, the man who is the suspect in this is a 66-year-old man who his social media shows that he campaigned for Bernie Sanders. All right, Bernie Sanders supporter, self-identifies as a Democratic Socialist. All right, yet he goes and does this. Tax congressman, specifically at a Republican congressman baseball practice. Okay, this was for politicians for the game tomorrow where the Democrats and the Republicans play a baseball game against each other. All right. Tax them specifically. This was clearly politically motivated, anti-right wing. And you know what? This is what we know about him. We know that he's a Bernie supporter. Just like this last attacker. People were trying to brand as a Trump supporter. Guy who knifed those people on a train. What did it turn out? Bernie Sanders supporter. Who actually hated Hillary. And hated Donald Trump. Okay? So, this is what we're seeing. All these leftists are now becoming violent. They're becoming violent. Why? It's because liberalism is a mental disorder. It's like I've said over and over and over. Anyone who gets involved in these social justice causes is mentally ill. Okay, they're mentally ill. This is exactly what you would expect. They're mentally ill and they lost, and so now they're going to freak out and become violent with crazy little individual attacks like this. You know what? Just like we saw this NSA leaker, Bernie supporter, thinks being white is a terrorism. It's like, seriously? These people are all deranged. That needs to be the first sign that someone is mentally ill. The fact that they support Bernie Sanders. All right, there's a sign of psychosis. Because you have people living in first world countries who are talking about socialism. Socialism has failed over and over and over. They're like, yeah, but we have to try it here. It might work here. We know that it has failed over and over in history. Tons of these socialist countries are all starving now. Look at what's happening in Venezuela. China and Russia have walked away from their socialism and become more capitalist. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, right? But they're like, but it might work here, all right? These are not sane, rational people. Anyone who honestly believes that isn't sane and rational. This has failed over and over and over. And there's no reason to think that we should destroy our system to try this nonsense here. But Bernie Sanders supporter, Democratic Socialist. Now they're becoming lone wolf attackers, okay? Again, this is what we have to come to expect. This is what we have to come to expect. These aren't right-wing nut jobs like people want to make them out to be. These are leftists. These are liberals. These are liberals. And so far, look at these attackers we're getting. These white jobs are all turning out to be Bernie supporters. Social justice warriors and socialists. All right, this is 2 in a row. 2 in a row. And everyone else who's committed any of these attacks recently, in the last couple of years, have all turned out to be members of the religion of peace. That's about it. Bernie Sanders supporters and members of the religion of peace. That's who's committing attacks in America. It's not right-wingers. We haven't had a major right-wing attack since Timothy McVeigh. You know what? And he was mad at the ATF. Talking about an agency people probably have reasons to be mad at. I mean, I don't think it's justified to blow up a building. I can understand his anger, his righteous indignation at the ATF, but you know, you also don't kill innocent people. Okay, that's not the way that you resolve things. All right. So I mean, I'll always speak out against what stuff like McVeigh did, even though I'm a right winger, even though I might dislike the ATF. Even when we were talking about having a revolution one day if we had to, I don't condone blowing up a building with children in it. Okay? I'm sorry. Can't get behind it. Don't care how much you dislike a government agency. That's cowardly. That's cowardly, and that is terrorism. Okay? Timothy McVeigh was a terrorist. Let's call it what it was. But we haven't really had much in the way of this right-wing stuff since then. All right? Everyone's always scared. The left talks about crazy right-wingers. It's crazy left-wingers who are doing this, or members of the Religion of Peace every single time. Go look through at all these different attacks, what these people were affiliated with. It's either one of those two every time. You don't see right-wingers doing this stuff. Yet here we have it. Here we have it. Of course, the anti-gun crowd's going to chime in, and some of them are already, oh, it's funny these NRA members got shot at. It's like, no, that's not funny. Why weren't they better armed? That's my real question. I'm not saying that the person attacking them was in the right, but you know, now that we know how crazy the left is, look at what Antifa is doing. People who are right-wing and outspokenly right-wing need to be more diligent. We need to be better armed all the time. All of us. People like me who do it on the internet. People who are politicians like these guys, they need to be ready for this. These people are crazy. The left is insane. Left is insane. And they are making it more and more clear that they plan on being violent. We've seen it with the Antifa stuff. And you know what? I hope this guy gets tied to Antifa. Because if that happens, then Trump's going to have a precedent to go ahead and just take care of this group. This group is basically terrorists. We'll have a real good reason to take care of them. And start rounding them up. Because these people are dangerous. Like we saw with Moldy Locks and the bottles with the firecrackers in them. Alright, these people are dangerous. Alright, they mean to do harm. And what you saw here, that's a perfect example. Alright, we need to be aware of this. We need to be diligent. And at a certain point, we've got to just start declaring these people domestic terrorists, because that's what they are. And if this guy gets tied to that group, and it's very possible he might, we'll see. Time to start looking more closely at these people. Because again, this is becoming a real problem. It's becoming a real problem. And no amount of gun control is going to fix this problem. In fact, we need the exact opposite. People need to be better armed. And I am a little shocked that their security detail wasn't able to deal with this more effectively. And all these guys who are NRA members are supposed to be packing weren't able to deal with this more effectively. That one lone nut, 66-year-old man with no training shows up and starts shooting. And I believe it was the police who arrived there and handled it. I think the police response time, that's the last time I read somewhere, was something like 3 minutes. They were able to respond and deal with the situation. But yeah, crazy. And again, goes to show, like we keep saying, being a leftist is a sign of mental illness. Again, because reasonable, rational people don't go around and scream, I'm a democratic socialist. I believe in democratic socialism. It's totally different from other forms of socialism. You have to be nuts to even think that way. Again, sign of clouded thinking. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.